Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafiq Broussard, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk. All right, welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafiq Broussard, and it's DJ Sports Show today. DJ Hamilton coming on the show. Welcome aboard.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Rafiq.
Yeah, it's also nice having an NBA-minded guy coming on Nothing But That Sports Talk. It's always nice. But let's start off with how you got started with this media journey that you're in.
Oh, yes. So it's an honor to be here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm DJ Hamilton, the DJ Sports Show. It's actually funny because I'm actually always the interviewer, not the interviewee. So this is like a little different for me.
Get ready
So
for
I
your
really
first
appreciate,
podcast.
it's like my first one being interviewed.
Get ready for your first podcast interview under the stick. And trust me,
Yeah.
what will come after this?
Hey, man, I love it. I really appreciate you and honor you for bringing me on. Great gratitude. So yeah, I started DJ Sports Show in 2020. It was during COVID. At that time, I just finished my sophomore year of college at Rockland Community College, and I was majoring in media, communications media. And at that time, I was working at KFC, and I just finished my sophomore year. I'm like, man, I'm trying to get an internship. I'm struggling to get an internship. And it's kind of funny. I'm like, man, why is it so hard to get an internship when internship is supposed to help you learn the skills and stuff like that? So I'm thinking it's June 2020. And I'm like, okay, I'm about to be heading into my junior year of college where I transferred eventually to SUNY New Paltz. And I'm like, okay, what can I do related to what I want to pursue in my career? And I started looking at free podcasting apps, and I found Anchor, which is now called Spotify for podcasters. And they said, oh, you could record on your phone, mobile. It could reach anywhere, go on Spotify, Google Podcasts. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's try it out. And then I'm in my car. I used to record in hot summer days. I'm talking about scorching hot days, like 95 degrees. The air is humid. And then also frigid cold winters. And I used to weekly look up topics. Oh, what should I talk about on this show and all that? And when I was thinking of the name, what should I call my podcast? I was thinking just basketball. I was like, okay, should I just do basketball? I was like, no, not everybody likes just basketball. So I was like, okay, how can I separate myself from others? Because some podcasts, they just do one sport or things of that nature. Our website too, and talk about one sport. So I was like, okay, let's call it DJ Sports Show. I was like, that could separate me. It make me have to really dive into other sports I'm weaker at, do research, and I could really separate myself. There's one thing about all sportscasters, they don't just know one sport. Like, yes, they master all like one sport or two, but they know at least know a little bit about the others, like what's going on. I'm not saying they all know everything, but they at least know a little bit about the other stuff. So I was like, let me do that because that will separate me from the pack. Little did I know when I first started that podcast, it will reach places worldwide, everywhere I could think of, from all over the USA, China, Africa, India, you name it. And I first started with the podcast only. Like I didn't have the website yet. That came a year and a half later when I was entering my senior year in my dorm at New Paltz. And I remember even before I started the podcast, I remember I had this teacher, Professor Richard Connolly. He's an OG. He was one of the greatest professors I ever had. He was like, DJ, you know basketball really well, man. You should start a podcast. I remember my friend Caleb too in radio production class. Shout out to Caleb, man. He was like, man, you really know your stuff. You should start a podcast, man. This is before COVID started. And that's when I really started to get into my mind, man, maybe they're right. Maybe I should start a podcast. But then when COVID started, when the world was shut down, basically, you couldn't really do anything other than if you're going to work or something. So I was like, this is the perfect time to do it. And I'm glad I really went at it. And I was eager to learn. And I looked up stuff, how to like get it on Apple Podcasts, able to do that online. Because I'm a guy, I'm a go-getter. Like I'm really, everything I've done, I've taught myself how to do, how to make a website, how to make a podcast, how to get Google ads in my articles and stuff like that, how to video edit. Like no one came to me and say, hey, I'm gonna do this for you. I want to teach you. No, I can't. I did it out of my way and to do it myself. Like I tell people all the time, my generation, YouTube, take advantage of it, man. Because I'm a visual learner and hands-on doing learner. I don't really learn best just auditory. I need to see it and then be able to do it, get reps. That's how I learn best. Like if I would have told my see, you know too, right? And like if I would have told my younger self, like high school self, yo, you're gonna make this brand, you're gonna have it reach places worldwide you can ever think of, podcast, website. You're gonna learn how to video edit. You're gonna have your own website, and this is gonna help you meet icons, make new friends in the sports industry, etc. People know your name, people telling you inspire them. I would have been like, get out of here. I would have been like, nah. You're gonna shake Rich Paul's hand. You're gonna meet commissioner of the NBA because your friend who works in the NBA, Samuel Yu, shout out to him. He said, yo, I've been seeing your work. You're consistent as hell. I want to invite you to the NBA holiday party for free because you really put the work in. He said, I want to invite you to the holiday party. And not for that, I meet the NBA commissioner because of my brand. I had people, I remember when I went to this Thanksgiving party my friend threw last year. I was like, let's go have fun for once. I'm always working. I remember I'm young, so I gotta remember have fun once in a while. And people were coming up to me like, yo, you're DJ Hamilton, DJ Sports. I'm like, and I'm looking crying inside. I'm like, damn. Sometimes I'm like, I'm posting all this stuff, marketing my stuff. I'm like, man, am I wasting my time? Because I remember there were days, trust me, there's been days I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm like, man, I'm like, is this really worth it? Like, and then when people tell me, yo, you inspire me through your work ethic, not even just like my sports stuff, but me as a person and my gym stuff, making them want to get their health right mentally and physically. I'm like, wow, that means a lot. And then but yeah, the podcast, like I started in 20 first started off as that. I was doing podcasts like once, twice a week because I didn't have the website yet. So I was like, that was my main content. So I was doing that. Sometimes I did 3 episodes in a week. Yeah, like I was going crazy. And I'll do topics from the NFL, NBA, soccer, baseball, hockey, tennis. Like I would do all variety of different sports, and I'll do like research stuff like that, take notes or whatever. Or sometimes I'll just remember it in my head. Especially like basketball, I just like usually just know. And then eventually, I got an internship finally in 2021, Sports Media Inc. CEO Dan Koss, shout out to him, man. And then Semi-Pro College Sports Network with John of SBCSN. He used to live in Florida, now he lives in Ohio. I still talk to them to this day, and they have both seen my growth through the years since 2021, and they're like very proud of me. Like now, I have interns in Sports Media Inc. They're asking me, "Yo, DJ, Mr. Koss told me about your successful brand DJ Sports. So like, I want to ask you for advice about journalism." Or on air, you're on radio now in your hometown. Like, we're trying to get up to your level. I'm like, man, that like means a lot to me because it's like I'm still learning myself. There's always room for improvement, always room to get better. And Dan Koss, like I remember I became a journalism intern. I'll write anything NBA related, and eventually I became the co-creator of the sports media blog. Yep. And this was right when I made my website. Eventually launched a website September 7, 2021, almost coming on 3-year anniversary as I launched my website. And that took things to another level. But that came after the internships, the writing internships, Semi-Pro College Sports Network. So Semi-Pro College Sports Network for my guy John. That's not your traditional NBA, NFL. You got to do like deep research for those articles. Like these semi-pro leagues, you can't just find it off the first page sometimes on Google. That helped me with my research skills, and that kind of helped me eventually, like when I do my website. Because I remember when I learned the skills from that, like, oh, if I could do these articles, I could do regular NBA and all that, and I know I could really do a good job at it. But yeah, those internships, yeah. Oh, you want to say something?
No, continue. I have a lot to say, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, during that time, Sports Media Inc. I remember April Callum. She worked for Orlando Magic. She used to be a former fan ambassador for Orlando Magic, do the events and stuff. And she said, I still have the screenshot to this day. It's in my motivation highlight on my Instagram. She said, man, I've been a copy editor for Sports Media Inc. for a long time, and I've seen many NBA articles. She said, but yours is the best I've ever seen. I'm like, wow. I'm like, she said, your stuff? Because I was just starting to write at that time. She said, aside from like a few grammatical errors, because I was still learning, she was like, your stuff is the best I've ever seen. That like hit me hard. I was like, man, really? Because I was like, no way. She was like, yes. And that if I told her, but I don't know if she's seen it. I said, if not for her, I don't think I eventually do the website because that gave me the confidence. Like, oh man, maybe I should start adding journalism blogs to my repertoire on top of the podcast so I can become more versatile and diverse. So yeah, and then so I started that internship May 2021. I started the SBCSN one June 2021. Those journalism internships, and I wouldn't have got them without the podcast because without the podcast, I don't get those internships. Because before I was struggling to get an internship. So that's why I always love the podcast because that started before everything else, before radio, before the website, before meeting the icons, etc. It all started that kid recording in his car in the hot summer days, in the frigid cold winters, sacrificing, having fun with his friends, etc. Yeah. And then launched the website in my dorm. I remember it took me 2 weeks to make it. Went on YouTube, learned how to make a website on Wix. I use Wix for my website. And I was getting ready for the big launch of like that Tuesday, September 7th, 2021. I was like, this is the day. I was like, let's do it. And man, I've promoted it everywhere because one thing about me, I don't just promote on Instagram. I promote on Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I started using TikTok really more last year, beginning of 2023, because I was like, okay, I got visuals now. I got to start using TikTok too. I'll use TikTok for visuals. And I use Facebook Like Twitter, I only use for promoting content. I don't be promoting I don't be doing no crazy tweets like some of these people out here. I don't be doing that. None of that. I'm about business on Twitter. I don't be. Yeah, if you see my Twitter, it's strictly like just sports stuff. I don't be saying anything crazy. I don't be doing that. And then same thing on Facebook. I'll post like sports content and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like the website, I launched that, and then man, my friends were shouting it out, so more people get the word out there. I put a little money in so it could get out there like worldwide, and then people were coming to the website. I was so proud of it. Of course, it's made updates since. I've added like the wall of fame, people I've met and stuff like that. But yeah, started doing the website, and then I was at New Pulse. I was a sports announcer. I did women's basketball, men's basketball, women's soccer. I was calling the shots, team fouls, substitutions, things of that nature. And I actually got to gain a relationship with some of the athletes. And I've interviewed many of my fellow New Paltz Hawks alumni through the years. I've had them on the show when I was at the college and since I graduated in May 2022. And also, I first started radio at the school radio station, WFMP, which is the student radio station. They said, "Oh, you can start your own radio show." I was like, okay. I was like, that'll be good for me to learn too. Like, at least get the niche of how radio works, formatting. Because I know radio is different from podcasting. You don't have as much free flowing. You have to get in and out at certain times, which was a good experience for me. So yeah, shout out to Valerie for WFMP radio. Shout out to her. She really helped me. And Monica, she's the athletic communications director at No Pulse, gave me the opportunity to sports announce. That really helped me, like, not be afraid to speak in front of people. Because at the games, I remember that first game. It was a women's basketball game. And man, it was a Tuesday, early November 2021. I remember that week before, I was practicing saying the names for the home team and the away team. She'll give me the sheet of how to pronounce the names. I would like practice thoroughly in my dorm. So I was like, man, I want to be good at this. Like, this is volunteer. I'm not getting paid or anything. I did it strictly for my resume. Now a lot of kids are willing to do something free I was like, I'm thinking about my future though. This is for my resume. Same with the radio station. So I was like, let's do this. And I was still doing my podcast every week, and I was still doing like numerous articles a week for my website. I'm on dean's lists all semesters throughout my college career. So I'm a good student doing it, like I'm busy. And then I'm also working 2 days a week just to have some, chump change, to have some money. So I'm like very busy in college. Sometimes I was like, man, my brain is fried sometimes. I'm like, sometimes I felt burnt out, but I just kept pushing at that time. I was less busy. So I was just doing that. And then, yeah, sports announcing. It was a great opportunity. I got to meet Rylan Blondo, New Paltz, Sean St. Lucia. I got to meet Lucas Sayam, Tyreek Frazier, Brianna Fitzgerald. She's the legendary New Paltz women's basketball player. She's the all-time scoring leader in New Paltz basketball history, men or women. I interviewed her last year, and she's a two-time Co-Ackerman Field Athlete of the Year, two-time SUNYAC Women's Basketball Player of the Year, perennial champion. The boys actually won their first SUNYAC championship in the school's history. And I'm Julia Sabatino, Jenny Walton, list goes on and on. So yeah, I met them through sports announcing. And then eventually I graduated New Paltz, May 2022. And then after that, I went through like the darkest time of my life. Tragedy happened, life stress is happening, going through a breakup, stuff like that. And I'm like, God, why is all this happening? And this was after college. This was like between, I say, August 2022 to like February 23. I'm like, why is all this happening to me? I'm like, and then those are some of the dark days when I'm like, man, sometimes I felt like I wanted to quit. I'm like, why am I still doing this? But then 2023 happened, had the best year of my life. Get a job in local media as currently a local media assistant for Active Media International. And then I had people write for my website. I'm like, man, I'm only 22 and I have people writing about on my website. I was like, wow. I started learning video editing skills. I looked up Filmora Video Editor because I remember my friend Kalia, she taught me about Filmora. This is good for beginners. I'm trying to learn how to video edit. She told me back in New Paltz. I was like, all right, let me start doing that now. And I remember my first video I ever did with my voice on it was the Victor Wembanyama video in March of 23. It's on my YouTube. And I remember, man, I think I forgot the exact title, but it was like something about Victor Wembanyama, Meet the French Mamba, Victor Wembanyama, the best prospect in NBA history, I think, or I said since LeBron James, something like that. And I did not know the amount of views it would get. At first, the first video I did was 4,000 views. That was without my voice on it. It was like something the NBA New Generation. And then yeah, I was like, let's see what this does. I mean, if it gets 4,000, I'll be happy. I see this thing 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then we ultimately reach over 90,000. I was like, wow. I was like, oh damn. I was like, man, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And then eventually I do a Caitlin Clark video that gets over 10,000 views. I remember I did an article on Caitlin Clark actually way before she blew up in 2023 when everybody started knowing. I said in 2021 in the fall, before this is like her sophomore year of college, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, I've done a few articles on her. I said, ladies and gentlemen, meet Caitlin Clark, the female version of Stephen Curry. And everybody, it
And you
went,
post a lot of interesting stuff.
yeah. Like it got over 200 views. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, a lot of she gets traction. I've done like 4 or 5 articles on her throughout my time on my website. Yeah, like the website took everything to a new level. Like the
And
podcast is still there.
you know what? Speaking of new level, no need to cut you off.
Yeah,
The way you go in depth on explaining, you could write a book about this.
yeah.
You should write a
Actually,
book about a DJ sport. You should write a book about this because the way that you talked about starting your podcast and going through stress with it as little as possible, and then going through the college sports media life,
yeah,
that is literally something that we all had to go through in order to get where we are right now. Because your
yeah,
podcast beginning has similar begin to mine because excuse me, I started this podcast as nothing but that people talk in 2018 to a podcasting class I took taught by Professor Tony Dofat. Shout out to him. I call it nothing but that people talk. I do episodes with this guy named Rugali Sanadas, who's now a writer for Impact Alpha. Shout out to him as well.
yeah,
I mean, we talk basketball in that podcast. Like I've been doing this podcast for years.
yeah,
What do you react every time I talk about a big play that happens in an NBA game and a big storyline? I thought to myself, you know what? Even when the school is over, I'm continuing doing my podcast. And man, I did not disappoint. It led to me doing interviews with Ari and Christina in 2018, which, funny enough, I'm closing on 6-year anniversary of that interview in that studio. And then, and that was a big caveat. And even though I didn't do as many episodes while I was still in college as I did when I was done with school, that was my big caveat to covering pro-am, charity basketball games, summer basketball, and then 2 years later, I covered the WNBA virtually.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're in the city, like the mecca of basketball, man. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
Say how many in-person interviews I did ever since I started. I mean, of course, shout out to my cousins Wallen Knox and my friends from LIU Brooklyn, who was involved in this podcast. As I can't forget about you. But come on now, all the big interviews. Monica McNutt from MSG Networks.
Yep. I met her at NABJ this past summer. Yep. Her, Andrea Carter.
I already told you that to Christina and Ari. Well, now Ari she had a job working for Highlighter, which is part of Bleacher Report. Now she's working for ESPN's Anscape. Shout out to her new role, or newest role rather, because she's now several months in. And then I've also interviewed this girl named Bailey Coral, who had a reporting job in Arizona. Now she has a reporting job in San Francisco, and she's doing a good job for herself in life. And yeah, I can't even say how many interviews I've had. And in all the videography I've done at Rucker Park and Dykeman Park, it led to people say, yo, I see you at Dykeman Park, I see you at Rucker Park, I see you at this, I see you with that. I was like, oh, shoot. You never know who's watching you when you're doing your thing.
Yep. That's what it's about.
You never know who's watching you because that's what happens when you put in the work. You never know who's watching to a point where they're going to be like, okay, I want to work with this guy one day.
Yep. One thing I've learned too, like a good saying, someone said, you're inspiring people who aren't even saying it yet. Yep. You don't know who you're inspiring, but people are watching that you're inspiring. I'm telling you. I'm probably through the years, just many people have been watching your podcast, they've been inspired by you. So I just want to give you that your flowers and stuff like that. And that's why I really appreciate you bringing me on, because this is my first ever. I'm used to always being an interviewer, doing the research, going deep research. Like I've interviewed.
You've never been interviewed anything before?
Like not to this level, like about my career. No. This is the first.
Ready, because nothing but the sports talks established a lot. I mean, I've had some big. Recent years I've had some big interviews from Tia Savatio to geez, I'm blinking. Now I've had, I've interviewed so many people. How about that?
Yeah, like me too. I'm 24. I've interviewed now 28, 27 people. Like it's like, man, I'm like, once I got to past my age, I was like, damn, I've interviewed this. I've interviewed even the legendary Hall of Fame sports journalist, sports media personality, Rob Parker. I went to Manhattan that day. I went to the city, April 12th. I took off work 2 weeks ahead of time, and I made it happen, man. Like I interviewed him, Gigi Spear. I've interviewed
Gigi Spear was in the same graduate workshop with me when I went to Fordham University as a grad student. She was an undergrad at the time. And look where we are right now.
Yep.
We did stand up together recapping the WNBA finals as credentialed media last year.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's one thing I love about the interviews too, which I'm gonna get even more to as I continue in my journey. But yeah, like the interviews, I started my first interview 2020, October 2020, with my friend Anthony Simons, former, he's a local high school basketball star that was here at Rampo High School. He was all section. He led them to their first sectional title game in years. Like he was the best player on that team. To Rob Parker, to GD Spear, which is you said how you discovered me. Like these interviews, that's why I love doing them because I get to have people tell their stories and stuff like that, like their full stories. Because some of these athletes I've interviewed, they don't really get to tell their full stories. It's a quick, post game interview or something or pre-game. You don't get to hear their story, like who they are, this person, what makes them tick, how they overcome adversity, overcome obstacles, what they like to do outside of sport, like what's their favorite music artist, stuff. I get to really know the person, and that's why I love doing interviews because interviews have also helped my brand grow. Like, and just like I mentioned in 2023, I didn't just learn video editing. I eventually started doing visuals, like visual interviews. Shout out to Mike Vision Studios, man. My brother told me about them, and I didn't even know they were right around the corner from my house. Shout out to my older brother Andre. But yeah, Mike Vision Studios, shout out to them. My boy Todd, the guy behind the camera, the visuals, and then Jordan Jones is the audio guy. Yeah. Then my first interview with my friend Lamont Edwards, my boy since seventh grade. He's actually gonna play in FIBA coming up this season in Albania. He's gonna be in his second or third professional season. So I remember we were young. We used to talk about Kyrie Irving in math class. Oh, you saw Kyrie Irving? He crossed up Brandon Knight in the Rising Stars Challenge 2013. Yeah, I remember that was like viral. Like we were talking everything basketball. That's my boy for life. And I was his first visual interview. A lot of the people I've interviewed, aside from Rob Parker, I've given like their first like in-depth life interview, which means a lot. Because yes, any interview is great, but especially when you're like the first one for the people, because a lot of these people I've gone on, they're already doing great things before. But some of these people I see going on to do great things, or I've had them on my show, like seeing what GD Spears, what she's done in her career. It's like I had her on my show, and I interviewed her twice. I had to get her on for a part two because I know she's busy and we had a lot to go through. Rob
Yeah,
Parker, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I interviewed her during COVID as well. I mean, she was probably still at the time, but that was just pretty much getting to know why she started being
yep,
a football player and doing everything she was doing. And then the second time she came around, it was pretty much talk about how she got that gig as a host at Ford, as the first ever host at Fordham University's men's and women's basketball team. When I found out she was an announcer, she was like a on court in game host for the Fordham
yep,
men's and women's basketball games. I was like, you know what, I have to get on the show. At the very least, she's back in Fordham in some capacity, even though she don't go there no more. She's giving back to what she learned as a WTV students. And then, yeah, we covered the same events. We already mentioned we covered the WNBA finals in two different platforms. We covered the Big East Media Day.
yep.
Nancy was doing it for the next. I was doing it for my brand, nothing but that sports talk. And let me tell you, when I was there, I even got to interview Bill Raftery, the legendary play-by-play announcer.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him before.
Bill,
Yep.
Bill Raftery, you might have heard him calling March Madness games and saying onions, baby onions as his signature calls for every that goes in. You might have heard him.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it before. Yeah, I've watched March Madness through the years. Trust me. Yeah, I definitely have heard of it. Yeah, now that's amazing, man. And see, that's why I always try to tell people like, don't be afraid to create something for yourself, man. Like, and then 2023, I do the visual interviews, right? I get invited to the Black Sports Symposium. I can't forget that, April 2023. Black Sports Symposium in Atlanta. You have to get invited to that. There were over 10,000 applicants, only 1,500 got in. I applied with my DJ Sports Show link, the website, and the podcast, and my resume, and they were like, "You're invited." I was like, "Man, I'm one of 1,500, over 10,000 applicants. I get invited to this." That's when I like broke down crying. I'm like, "Man, after all I've been through, the stress, life stress, the heartbreak, the tragedy I went through, everything in life, I'm like, it is worth it, man." I tell people all the time, continue pushing. It will get
I
better.
saw you were on the NBJ a few weeks ago, which
Yep.
you
Yep.
got to witness ESPN first take in real life, which is
Yep.
for that.
Yep.
But
So yeah. Yep. I like Black Sports. I met Rich Paul. I meet Steve Weiss, NFL Network. I meet Kale Spikes, all pro NFL linebacker, Hall of Fame nominee. I meet Whitney Myers of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then eventually I become a radio host that same year in 2023. In what, September? I'm almost on my 1 year anniversary being an on-air radio host here at WRCR 1700 AM radio, my local hometown, Garnerville. Like where I come from, Rockland County, and I live in Haverstraw, been in Haverstraw for 10 years now. This is where I went to high school in North Rockland. My college years went to RCC, then I went to New Paltz. Like I've been living here. This is the longest place I ever stayed my entire life because I used to move a lot growing up. I used to live in Spring Valley. I used to live in Suffern, Tuxedo, Monroe. Like I moved place to place. And then Nyack. Like I used to be like, man, am I ever gonna make friends? But I look back now, I'm like, I'm kind of glad I did because now I know a lot of people. It was a blessing in disguise because when I was younger, I was like, am I really gonna be able to have friends that stick? Because it's like as I got older, I started realizing that. But yeah, 2023, the radio, meeting these icons, meeting my OGs from Atlanta. Shout out to Danny Thompson, Mike Patton. Shout out to Megan Hall. She covers the WNBA. She's an amazing writer. She's killing it. And also Paris Sharkey, Justin Payton, and Chris. Like shout out to the OGs from Atlanta. We've been in group chat since we met a year and a half ago, and they're like family. They call me nephew because I'm the youngest in the chat. I'm just like, man, I love it though. I love it though.
Yeah, you can't get past that. And
Yeah.
When I was part of WNBA, I also got to meet the phenomenal Ryan Ruocco and Ed Cohen.
Yep.
And then Ryan Ruocco remembered me from that day. And in the Zoom interview I did with China Robinson, not once but twice, she remembered me. And then when I you know that little hashtag Twitter thing that the WNBA account always does. I post my tweet, and I got like 3 of my tweets made it to WNBA Countdown. LaChana Robinson remembers me, and she acknowledged me as a WNBA media member. And that's the recognition that you need. Yep. Imagine what you're going to do when you cover the WNBA. You just have to find the connections and talk to somebody about covering the WNBA. We'll get more of that off the air, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I don't think about my sports show. Like I'm willing to do any sport, like get my foot in the door anywhere. Like I'm open-minded. That's one thing I've always prided myself on. Ever since I was a young age, I always had that insatiable work ethic, always willing to listen to others who are trying to help me. I always take good constructive criticism because I'm always trying to get better. Even though I've accomplished a lot, I always feel like, nah, I didn't do nothing yet. Even though a lot of people are like, yo, how you meet Adam Silver, Christian NBA? How you meet Rich Paul? How you get to this? How do you get a local sponsor for your brand? I'm like, hey, I'm willing to learn from the OGs, man. They taught me a lot. And then I've been like researching through the years. And eventually, like 2023, yes, radio. And eventually, my friend, Sam, like I mentioned earlier, after the radio, this was September, like 2 months later, I meet the commissioner NBA. I have the videos on my Instagram. Y'all see it's pinned there, Rich Paul and then Rob Parker interview. DJ Hamilton 23, by the way, is my Instagram. Same thing for TikTok and Twitter. But yeah, I remember that day I said to my friend, we weren't sure if the commissioner was gonna be there, but I knew deep down, I said, I have a feeling he's gonna be there. It's the NBA holiday party. He ain't gonna miss this. It's in the city where the NBA is, headquarters are. I said, if he's there, I'm gonna get a picture with him and shake his hand. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I'm gonna make connections. I made connections too that night. Make sure to get connections because these are events. Yes, you want to make connections, you also have a good time. So I remember I was like, man, I know meeting Rich Paul was crazy. I remember when I met Rich Paul in April 2023. I'm like, after like my whole life is flashing through my eyes when I'm about to go up that stage and I'm about to shake his hand. And I'm like, everything I've been through in my life, good and bad. I'm like, man, I'm really about to shake Rich Paul's hand, who's many consider the greatest sports agent of all time. Like he changed the game. Like, and he really came from nothing. And look what he's done for himself. And he asked me, hey, young fella, what's your name? I'm like, DJ Hamilton. He's like, where are you from? I'm like, the 845. He's like, where's that? And I told him real quick. And I was like, man, like, I'm like, Rich Paul knows my name. Like, and we got to take pictures. I'm like, this is crazy. And I showed my community, showed my family. They were like, wow. I was crying. I was like, this is crazy.
And you know what? This kind of reminds me of one thing because, like, I remember at the finals last year when I met the PR lady named, I believe her name is Karen Lee Williams. Shout out to her. She said a lot of good things about me after all the years it's been covering the Aces through the Zoom calls. This is the bubble year. She talked about how questions went from being not so great to like the improvements of my questions and answering articulations, and then she was impressed with my growth. And then Gigi Spear was impressed that all these WNBA media members already know who I am, even those I haven't even spoken to off the air or on a regular basis already knew my name.
Yep, exactly.
I was telling people, everybody knows Rafiq. Everybody knows Rafiq.
Hey, Rafiq's the man, ladies and gentlemen. He's the man. I followed you because I was seeing who followed Gigi too. Like after I interviewed her, and I started like following people who have mutual interest, and I saw your name. I was like, oh, let me follow him. He covered the WNBA and all that. He's big time. And I followed some of her other friends. Yeah.
One of my staff members from Canarsie used to say all the time. I mean, he saw my interviews with Agent Wilson, and he also saw that I was chilling with Deja Kelly for North Carolina. Now Deja Kelly is going to be finishing her college basketball career in Oregon, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyways, I took a photo with her and Nori. I mean, you know what? Before I knew who she was, I kind of mistakenly thought it was Dee Richards.
Yeah. No, hey, that's amazing. You need to write a book about your story, man. Your journey.
Trust me, a book is coming soon.
Okay.
I'm going to profile my sports. You know what? I'm thinking about it right now. I'm thinking about it, but yeah.
All
Now
right. Yeah, I already did like a prerequisite for my book because I did an autobiography series last year. Actually, around this time last year, around September, the fall 2023, I did eras of my life. I did the early years, the years before high school, where I talk about my insatiable work ethic, how I developed that, my love for basketball, deep passion, developed music, all that, and then high school years, how what I learned during high school, overcoming adversity and things of that nature. College era, where I got my first car when I created DJ Sports Show. I talked about all that, and also ever since after college, what I call young adulthood era, which I'm still in because I'm only 24. So I separate all that into eras, and it's on my website. If y'all want to check out my autobiography, it's called The Story of DJ Hamilton, and you'll see all the different eras. So I already like kind of documented that early. So eventually, I would love to make that into a book. I want to continue to progress my career, and eventually like make a little book one day. That'll be sick. But yeah, I mean, I did that during the fall last year, and that was the same time I commissioned NBA. I remember being commissioned NBA. I remember Rich Paul was crazy, but I was like, that kid in me was crying. I was like, eventually going up to him, shaking his hand. And I was like, "What's up, Adam? So I'm DJ Hamilton." He was like, "Oh, pleasure to meet you." And then we're just talking a little bit, and then we're taking that picture, and it's on my Instagram. I was like, "Wow, this! I feel like I got drafted that night." And my older brother, shout out to my oldest brother, Andre. Man, remember when we were young, he would always take me to the YMCA, play basketball, all that. And I remember crying. And I remember I posted, it's pinned on my Facebook too. I was like, this is the greatest moment in DJ Sports Show history. I love Rich Paul, but shaking the commissioner of the NBA's hand, that kid in me who was obsessed with basketball. I remember growing up, I'm reading so many NBA history books, the greatest moments, greatest games, greatest players, coaches,
you
reading
talk
so many
about
Michael Jordan books.
players
Yeah,
say during the interview players for USA go USA 2021 gold medal team. Well, technically it's 2020, but they postponed that year
yep,
postponed it by a year because of COVID. But you talk to a guy to interview guys like Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo. The list goes on during the
yep.
Tokyo Olympics virtually back when everything was literally on Zoom. And that's how Caroline Williams got to know what nothing but a sports talk is. And
Mm,
it's just as I was, it led to me covering my first WNBA draft and the finals in 2023.
that's awesome.
And I even got to meet that Idana, who works for the NBA as an assistant. She came to me, was like, "Hey, wait, aren't you Gigi's friend?" She literally got off her phone call wherever she had. She was like, "Wait a minute, aren't you Gigi's friend?" What? And I was like, "Yes, I am." So we exchanged numbers, and yeah, we don't know. We tight now.
Hey, that's all. See, sometimes it's about who you know too, not what you know. That's one thing I learned when I was like early in college. It's about who you know, not always what you know. Because you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't know anybody, it's like how you gonna really get anywhere? That's why connections are key. That's why I sacrificed and invested going into like the Black Sports Symposium in last year in Atlanta, or going to NABJ this year, which I'm gonna talk about soon. But these like you gotta invest in yourself because that's how you grow. You got people got to know who you are. You got to get yourself out there. You know.
No, I mean I didn't get the in person experience. I'm gonna wait for that to come to the tri-state to do that. But
Yeah.
I got to go to ABJ like two times, like as virtually two times. So see,
Yeah.
get to meet all these recruiters, even people that are not necessarily black, but looking to at the very least try to recruit any black journalists that are up and coming. That's something you need. That's something you can't walk away from. It's going to
Yeah.
cost a lot to get into the door, but you're going to
Yeah.
get a lot of connections and experience when you get out of the door. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I witnessed you go to the NBJ convention. I got another friend who went to the convention that I'm going to have come in another episode or two, but that's besides the point. It's
Yeah.
your time. You walked into that door after spending like 400, $500, and you walked out that door, watching ESPN First Take live recording, and then connected with all the people you just mentioned. And
Yeah.
you even got a picture with Ellie Duncan. That's something that you need to do in order to build DJ Sports Show to its peak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would recommend that you cover some college basketball games in your hometown area. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, like NBJ. So after I shook the commissioner's hand, I'm like, man, this is great. Like my brother said on the comment with the first pick in the NBA draft, I'm like crying on Facebook. I'm like, wow, everybody's saying this is awesome. I'm so happy for you because everybody knows how much I love basketball, especially growing up. Like I remember one of my friends when I was in fifth grade, I was obsessed with that. That's all I talked about. I didn't talk about girls, nothing else, music. I was talking about basketball. I was so obsessed with basketball. My mom still has my NBA notebooks and NBA history of NBA players. My friends, it was like, yo, you were destined to be in this. Because I used to have a notebook. I have like 3 of every player in NBA history. I'll write down every player, the greats to the role players. I was like, I want to know every player in NBA history. I was like 10, I don't really know better. That's how obsessed with the game I was. Like my mom didn't throw them out. She still has them here somewhere. But it's like, wow, she still has those notebooks. Those are over a decade old. And I remember I saw it. I was like, it's crumply. I'm like, these crispy pages now. I'm like, that kid at 10 years old, he didn't know what he was gonna eventually create. I was like, man, maybe it was destiny, I was like, wow. I was like, this is crazy. Hey, that's God's will, man. But yeah, I used to read all these books on the greats of the game. That's how I know Michael Jordan wore shorts, North Carolina shorts under his Bulls jersey for good luck and stuff like that. Like I knew like every detail of MJ. And then also I'll go on NBA.com, like NBA.com/history, watch like greatest highlights, greatest moments, I was doing all that from a young age. Sometimes it starts when you're young, like because you could have more free time, you could get stuff more ingrained in your head because you have more free time when you're younger. You're not working yet and stuff like that. But yeah, eventually, and then I meet the commissioner of NBA.
I spent
Eventually,
5 years doing nothing but, man, I spent 6 years doing nothing but sports talk. And 5 years I've had to myself doing this. So
yeah,
you're not alone. But
yeah,
I've been all over the place when it comes to covering these sports. I mean, I've covered games in Columbia, my alma mater, Fordham. I even got to cover the Big East tournament earlier this year, and NCAA tournament twice. Yeah, this past summer I did some games in Nike Pro C. So when they did the airline in Brooklyn, so yeah.
yeah. And then yeah. So after 2023, I'm like, this is the best year of my life. Like, I'm getting emotional at the end of the year, coming into 2024. I'm like, man, everything I got better video editing. I met all these great connections, new lifelong friends. I met the commissioner of NBA. I got on radio. I had people write for my website, and I even added new merch last year and this year too. I was like, how do I top that? And then I was like, okay, let me get a camcorder. I was like, let me start for the radio. Let me start doing visuals. So coming to 2024, I said my motto 2024, we trying to raise the score. And then man, started doing radio visuals. I had Rob Parker on my show. I was like, wow. And I met Rob actually. I don't know Rob. He don't know me without Chris Broussard. I went to LA last year for a vacation with my cousin, Jason. He lives out there in Cali. On my flight back, guess who I meet? This is of all the people I've met, this was the most unexpected, not planned. This was God's will. Coming back from my flight, coming back from the bathroom before the flight's about to go up to LA. This was August 27th, almost exactly a year ago. I come back, I'm sitting in my seat. I'm like, okay, the plane's about to go up. I guess I'm by myself. Nobody's. And I look up, some man politely says, hey, young fella, you're in my seat. I look up, Chris Broussard, man. I'm like, no way. In my head, I'm like, this is crazy. This can't be real. I get up, let him sit, and I'm calling. I'm like, man, all these years, I grew up watching him. ESPN, covering the Cavaliers, covering LeBron, covering the NBA. And I asked him, I'm like, question mark with excitement, Chris Broussard? He was like, hey, young fella, nice to meet you. He shakes my, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, nobody's in between us, it's just us two. I'm like, this got to be heaven. I'm like, this is crazy.
Absolutely. Well, I did manage. I did manage to interview one of Chris Broussard's peoples. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just the fact that you even got a chance to meet him and had that moment. That's amazing. That reminds you. Yeah, that reminds me of a moment when I went to LA in 2007. I got an autograph signature from LL Cool J, the hip hop artist.
That's one of my favorite rappers of all time.
Man, so you're not the only one with an iconic moment being a celebrity. I got an autograph from LL Cool J. I mean, I got this time I reach a book. That's pretty much the only spot that I've had for.
Hey, we're similar in a lot of ways, man. That's crazy.
It was the only thing I had. I didn't have a camera at the time.
Yeah, it was 07. It was those different times.
They rode the same plane on the way to Los Angeles, man. That reminds me of that story. That literally reminds me.
That's crazy
right there. But yeah, that moment is something that you're going to cherish for a very, very long time.
Yeah, like if I don't meet Chris Broussard, Rob Parker doesn't know me. I don't know, like Chris Broussard. We had a genuine conversation. We're just talking about life. I asked him for advice, like how do you get started? He started like the local newspaper in Ohio, stuff like that. And then I showed him my work, like my videos I did at that time. I told him I'm going to be on local radio soon. I showed him my articles. He was like, man, you have great work. When Chris Broussard said that, I was like, wow. He said I have great work. I was like, man, like this is a legend right here. This is one of the OGs. This is one of the greatest to ever do it. Especially someone who's colored. He's a colored brother. And I was like, he was like, I want to give you my phone number, email. And I didn't ask for it. I was like, wow. And I mean, he said, will you be interested in running for MLBBro.com, which I do for Rob Parker for almost a year now. For Rob Parker, I said, yeah, that's why I call it DJ Sports. I'm willing to, step out my comfort zone. And, that's how you strengthen yourself. And I was like, yeah. I remember one day, this was like a month and a half after we meet. I'm in the laundromat, October 1st, 2023. I remember the exact date. I get a random text, Chris Broussard, and then a random number. I didn't know it was Rob Parker at the time. And Chris is like, Rob, meet DJ, a great young man I met on my flight back from LA. He's done incredible work, and he said it'll be interesting writing for MLBBro.com as he continues to embark on his media journey. And Rob was like, hey, DJ, nice to meet you in the group chat. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I'm like, two people I grew up watching who have done these things at high level I'm trying to do, and I'm in a group chat with them. This is a blessing. I don't take it for granted. I'm still in the group chat. We've had conversations in the group chat, like genuine conversations, and we had laughs in there. I'm like, I don't take it for. Sometimes I'm like, somebody pinch me. I'm like, I'm in
I
a
mean,
group
what's
chat with
that?
two.
You're not one of the greatest, ESP, one of the greatest sports journalists you ever be in your life.
Yeah, I'm just like you don't get this every day. I don't take it for granted at all. Like I have access to them. I don't take it for granted at all. I text Rob. Rob usually gets back to me quickly, like as quick as possible. You would think someone of his Hall of Fame sports journalist, sports media personality will not get back to you or not answer you for a week. No, he gets back to me pretty quickly, especially since I write for MLB Bro for him, and just the genuine conversation. I remember we had a genuine conversation before I started writing for MLB Bro, like before the season started, this past baseball season. I told him everything I'd done. We called on the phone first time. He was like blown away how much I've done. He was like, wait, how old are you? I was 23 at the time. He was like, you done this much and you're only 23? He said, I thought you were 28, 29. Like you should have heard his tone on the phone. He was blown away. I was like, when I heard him sound like that, I was like, man, maybe I'm doing something right. Okay. Like I blew away Chris, blew away Rob. And I'm like, man. And then eventually I asked Rob, hey, would you be interested in being on my radio show one day? Because I'm on local radio. He said, yeah, of course. And then I had him on Super Bowl weekend. I was like, that's the perfect weekend, big weekend. I was like, man, I had Rob Parker on my radio show. And this is how the Rob Parker interview came about. So I started asking him, yeah.
You were at Super Bowl weekend.
Oh, I got to interview him. No, I got to do the radio show. No, I was here in New York. I didn't get to go, but yeah, I got the interview because I said, Rob, would you be interested to be on my show, radio show for Super Bowl weekend, talk about our predictions and stuff? He was like, yeah, and it was a great episode. And I remember asking him off the air like a week or so after the radio show, say, Rob, would you be interested for an interview one day? I'd love to get you on the show. It'll be iconic. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna be in New York in mid-April, Manhattan. I was like, okay, I kept that date in mind. And I remember asking him again in March just to see if he would still be able to do it. He said, oh yeah, of course. So I was like, oh, mid-March. I was like, okay, it's getting close. Start coming up with the questions. He said he only have time for like a 30, 35-minute interview. So I said, let me sharpen my questions down. I don't have an hour like I usually do. So I was like, okay, let me pinpoint what I exactly want to ask. I got it down to 14 great questions I want to ask. I remember I said, man, this is going to be great. I remember it took 2 weeks. I took 2 weeks ahead of time before the interview, took off work. I planned that day off, my first PTO day. I took off work. And I told my guy, Todd, he had to clear out his schedule that day for me. Like he cleared out like photo shoots, everything for me that day. And my guy, Seda, shout out to him. He took us to the state, he took off work too. Like we all sacrificed that day to make this interview happen. And I started after the interview. I mean, I remember I walked into the place where we held the interview, and I remember seeing tall 6'4" guy. I'm like, man, that's Rob. I'm like, damn, because you hear that meant when people are older, they tend to shrink. It doesn't. Hey, Rob seems to be he seems to be the exception. I was like, Rob was taller than me, and I'm 6'2", 6'3", man. I was like, wow. And he was a great. Like I meet him in person. I'm like, you think he's a great sports? He's even a greater human being, man. I was like, wow. When I first met him, I was like, oh, wow, this guy really is cool. Like, having a genuine convo, everything. And then, yeah, we do the interview. He told me off camera and on camera, yo, you killed that interview. He said, man, you need to come to NABJ. Yeah, after like a week after the interview, he said, you need to come to NABJ. You had all the skills, the talent, everything. I want you to come, man. Yeah, at first I didn't know. At first I didn't know if I was gonna go, but he encouraged. If not for Rob Parker, he's the one, a Hall of Famer, NABJ Hall of Fame inductee from 2023. He said you need to come here. Yeah, Rob, I don't know if I go, man. And then eventually I go to NABJ. I I see Rob there again in Chicago. We dap each other up, talking, great convo. It's just like when we first met. It's just like, man, it's like, and I'm meeting Chris Haynes of TNT Sports. I told you about the WNBA ladies I met. I met Sinead too, Monica McNutt. I meet who else did I meet? I meet what's his name? Chris Haynes. I met Jay Harris of ESPN. He's been anchored for over 20 years. We had a great 25, 30-minute convo, took a picture, gave me great advice, gave me his email. Like, I'm making all these great people in sports through the years, picking apart their brains. I'm hearing stories like Al Duncan, all them, and even Micah Andrews. Like, how they started their journey. A lot of them got a lot of no's before they got that one big yes. You would think of their caliber, they got that yes immediately. No, they said they went through tough times, all that. Like Andrew talked about how she was at NBJ. She was sitting in this exact seat where I was sitting in 2016, and look where she's at now. Same with Monica McNutt. She said she started a little bit later. She was 28 in 2017 at NBJ, and look where she's at now. She's covering the Knicks, covering the WNBA on radio, TV, everything. So it goes, and then a lot of people talk about mental health. Block out the haters. Don't care about everything people say on social media. There's going to be a lot of people hating and all that. Be strong in your opinion. Believe in what you're saying. Continue to put the work in. Sharpen your craft. I'm like, man, hearing these people humanize themselves, like you feel them, you think they're perfect, but no, they go through stuff too. I'm like, wow. It's like, I'm like, man, I'm like, maybe I am doing it right. Okay. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
After everybody knows who you are, after all the times you've been doing interviews, that's a big deal. And you said you got to meet Rob Parker, man, one of the most phenomenal sports minds you'll ever see.
Yep. Like I didn't tell anybody too during that time. I wanted to surprise everybody. I kept it quiet. I wanted to finish the interview first, get the pictures. I didn't tell anybody like leading up, like into weeks, like, oh, I'm gonna interview Rob. I didn't tell not even my closest friend.
I don't tell nobody who I'm interviewing with the bill with unless it's somebody like really major. I mean, the fact I mean, Tia Sebastian was really my favorite interview I've done in 2024, which is a full circle moment for me because I took a picture with her when I went to the 2015 NBA draft. During the final days, worked at MSG. During the final days, covering the New York Knicks as an MSG sign-up reporter before she transitioned to the new role she has right now at Fox 5. And the fact that, and we wouldn't see each other again up until the finals last year. And the fact that I get to cover these major events, I'm thinking to myself, man, the same guy that's having his own share of job struggles himself is the same man that's covering the WNBA finals. That's a big deal.
Yep, man, it is.
Yeah, and man, all those interviews, man, all those college basketball games, I would just be video recording interviews. If I get any good highlights, I'll put the best highlight onto the interview. Man, this is just how you have to consistently put your mind into the sports world.
Yep.
That's how you do it. And it'll lead to all those mentionings of all those connections you just said. I even had Chris Williamson on the show. Keith McPherson, who's now WFAN radio personality.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Rie, who worked closely with the sports director, my guy Bobby C., who I worked with as an intern at BronxNet and WFUV. German year at Fordham University, and then before that I did a bachelor's degree at LIU Brooklyn, which one of my favorite stories happens to be the Nets open practice for the 2016-17 Brooklyn Nets. Isaiah White was on the team, and another full circle. I get to like do video record of Isaiah White's games at Nike Pro City because he played summer basketball when the NBA wasn't really working out for him, and making his name and making himself known to street ball.
Yep. I remember that name, Isaiah Whitehead. I remember that name. Yep, I remember that name. I don't just follow NBA. I follow high school and college. I always know who's coming up. That's why I know Cooper Flag before he became big. I did an article, Menace for Maine. I call him the Menace for Maine.
Flag at the Jordan Brand Classic earlier this year. Yeah, and I've seen him kill it at the same Summer Classic last year. So I'm going to get to the point where I want the Brooklyn Nets to not be good this year so they can get Cooper Flag.
Or even Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey's a beast too.
I mean, Ace Bailey's good, but I want Cooper Flag.
Yes. Yeah. That would be box office.
This is a rare time why I don't want the Brooklyn Nets to be good or make the playoffs because just they can win the lottery. I mean, just so they can like win the lottery, lose enough games, so you can get back to winning. I want that guy Cooper Flag in Brooklyn.
And this is the next two drafts are the drafts to do it. The next two drafts are really good. Just gonna say that. They're really good. So a lot of talent coming in the next two drafts.
Yeah. So, and while we're starting to talk about the NBA, as you already kind of know, earlier this year, the NBA announced a new deal with NBC, where it's going to make its return to NBC, and on top of that, it's going to go to Amazon Prime as well. Sorry, TNT, no more NBA games on the TNT broadcast for you. NBA. You remember? I mean, I don't know how young you were when the NBA was televised. Had their games televised on NBC.
I was a baby. I was a kid. In the early 2000s,
you were introduced. I mean, being in your 20s, you have to at least know and watch a couple games.
When I watched classics through the years, And remember, it's the heart of a champion. That'd be
And Kobe Bryant's three-peat. NBC televised it all, and now it's making its comeback. The NBC is going to televise their NBA games on NBA, on NBC and Peacock, and Amazon Prime's going to televise the NBA games as well, including conference finals and playoff games. That's nuts for the next 11 years. I mean, obviously you got the final year of the NBA and TNT deal to deal with, but after that, assuming there's no loss, assuming that lawsuit thing that the NBA and TNT's going through gets erased, this is something that you need to get ready for, because there's nothing like listening to the round ball music every time you watch the NBA. Yes, you hear it in college basketball, but it's nothing like it when you watch the NBA and the Olympics as well. So I want to get your thoughts on a new deal the NBA had with NBC.
Hey, I love it. I mean, I'm gonna miss Inside the NBA with Charles, Shaq, Kenny.
But it's time for a new transition.
Yeah, but at the same time, we growing up with them. They grown up like generation.
You never know, they could transition into the NBA on NBC and Amazon.
Yeah, but Ernie did state like he wants to stay loyal to Turner because that's where he basically built his career there. That's what people know him for. Ernie Johnson, Ernie's Nino stat of the night. Like that's where everything, we have had so many iconic moments. Not even talking about serious stuff in the world, but also funny moments that make us laugh when the world's like giving us and we want a good laugh, or talk about basketball. They're the place to go. They won so many Emmys as a team, collective four. It's like, man, many sports crews like ESPN, they try to mimic Inside the NBA, and they can't do it because you only get one Ernie, Shaq, Charles, and Kenny. Like many of them, you see it on ESPN studio shows. They've had so many different members, people, personnel through the years on NBA Countdown, and they can't seem to get it like NBA on TNT. They got it right. Ever since Shaq came, he was the last edition 2011. They have not changed since. And it's, I don't know, because I feel like it's going to be like, who's going to be a part of the NBC staff? Like, they haven't really said who's going to be a part of the staff
who's yet. Be part of it? Mike Tirico, who used to call NBA games for ESPN, and the great Noah Eagle, who did a phenomenal job with play-by-play for the USA.
Yeah, he was phenomenal at the Olympics.
Especially the men's side. Calling two of the best games in USA basketball history. That comeback win against Serbia, and Stephen Curry knocking down 4 threes in the final 3 minutes in the game against France. You can't get past that. Noah Eagle did it all. The son of Iron Eagle. Yeah. Get ready. Because
Dwayne Wade was great too in the broadcast. Dwayne Wade was great too. I expect him to be on NBC as a reporter. So
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. I think NBC is going to make, I feel like this deal is going to make the NBA is already so popular already. I think this is going to make it even grow even more. This might even, and with the talent coming to the league in the next couple of years, the talent just seems to get better and better every decade. The talent coming to the league on top of the deal is like, whoa, it might be, because I know people say in America, NFL is the most popular sport, but the NBA has a chance to surpass it. Like, and I know globally, soccer and basketball reign supreme, but the NBA in America, it might have a chance with this new deal, and with the talent coming to NBA, because they're gonna have expansion too. They're gonna be expanding in the next couple of years. I think they said by 2026 or 2027, around that time, and I can't wait to see that because I would like to see the NBA. I feel like they needed to expand a long time ago. I feel like now over this past decade, they've had so much talent coming to the NBA. So I was like, when are they going to expand? Because now we have enough talent to have 32 teams. So I was like, now we're hearing them say after the new deal, they want to get that set. Now that they have that set, they can focus. I know Seattle Supersonics are definitely one team they're going to do. I'm interested to see what's the other team going to be. I've heard about Mexico. They want to have maybe a team in Mexico, maybe a team in Vancouver. We'll see. Or Las Vegas. We'll see. Because if they do Las Vegas, Seattle, those two teams have to be the Western Conference. One team have to move to the East. There's been people saying, oh, Memphis should move to the East. So I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see what unfolds in the next couple of years. I really can't.
Yeah, Memphis moves to the East, that'd be nice. Imagine John Moran faces the best in the East. He would
just, and you'll see him more in the Garden in Brooklyn. You'll get to see him more because when you're in the East,
will destroy every. Oh.
Yeah.
You know what? Since you mentioned John Moran, he's going to be in a vengeance this year because he only got to play a handful of games after that whole suspension thing that happened. Yeah. With the flash of the gun in the camera. He came back from injury. He came back, played 5 games, and then gets injured and missed the rest of the season. But Memphis is going to come in hard. They're not really expecting the Memphis Grizzlies to be any good this year after that bad season they've had last year. So what do you think is going to happen? John Moran's going to carry the load and put Memphis back on the championship map. But it's gonna be a lot harder because let's face it, the Dallas Mavericks was in the NBA Finals was early this year.
Yep.
And what else? The Spurs picked up Chris Paul.
Yep. Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs are going to be. I think it could be a playing team. I think they could be vying for the play-in around that 8th to 10th seed. Victor Wembanyama is. I said it when he was 15, 16. I was watching it during when he was crossing that Rudy Gobert. I said this kid has potential. If he stays healthy, he could be the GOAT. I'm not even kidding. I don't say it often, but even before he was in NBA, I remember exactly this year, 2 years ago. I'm seeing in the summer. I'm like, yo, he's 7'4" now. I'm like, yo, he's moving like Kevin Durant. He's flexible. He has the mindset too. One thing I was always confident about him, he
That
had
dude
the
is
killer
tall.
mindset. Like he's not aloof. He
I've
wants to
seen
be
him in real
great.
life at the NBA draft 2023. That dude is tall as hell.
Yeah.
Funny,
I was like,
yeah.
he can anchor defense like a stretched out version of Kevin Garnett. And he has the offensive game of a Kevin Durant, and he has like the body of a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I remember I did my 2023 mock draft. I did a full mock draft on my website. I said comparison mixture of Kareem and KD. I was like, no, like this guy has a chance. So people said he could be the greatest defensive player ever. I honestly think so. He could have won it this year. I had him as my defensive player of the year over Rudy Gobert. So I was like, his impact is even greater than Rudy Gobert's. And one thing, unlike Rudy Gobert, he can actually move his feet on the perimeter. He could guard the guards. He could switch out on screens. And his instincts, too. Like, he knows how to. Yes, it's one thing to be tall, but if you don't know how to use your length, what's good is it if you're a 7'3", 8-foot wingspan? He knows how to use all of it. That's the
Exactly.
scary part. And he's just beginning. He's only 20.
The way Victor dunks, it's almost like he doesn't even need to jump. He can just
No.
throw it down like that. I mean,
And
I
what's
a
scary?
little bit, but you can tell it almost like it didn't jump when I see him do dunks. Victor Wembanyama is a complete package. His
Yeah.
first guy that rebuilt his slump. He's going to be the new Tim Duncan of this era. It was a long time ago. The Spurs in the playoffs like almost every year up until Tim Duncan retired. Tony Parker finished his career with Charlotte, and then Mount Ginobili retires. And yeah, San Antonio hasn't been that good since 2019. But right now, with
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama developing himself into the NBA and Chris Paul teaming up with them down there to add that veteran leadership to San Antonio, they're going to be coming. They coming up in the NBA.
Yes. And they also added
You
like
have
a
a lot
good
of,
solid veteran.
competition. You got Chad Holmgren and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in OKC.
Yeah, OKC, don't sleep on them. They added Isaiah Hartenstein, and they needed that big body down low because Chet's
Don't tell me
skinny.
that. Don't tell me that. You're talking to.
I know you're a Knicks fan. Yeah, I was like that. I didn't like that when he left. I was like, damn it.
It's fine. I mean, the Knicks did lose Isaiah Hartenstein. He was a lane. He carried the Knicks back when they had injuries for days last year. But right now, with them playing in OKC, he's gonna add more size and help make the OKC success last year sustainable and actually get to the conference finals with the type of roster they had. You put him with Chad Holmgren and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, man, OKC is going to be a problem. Oh, yeah, you can't forget about Ant-Man and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yep.
I'm really starting to become an Ant-Man fan right now, man. He's going to be my favorite player when LeBron James retired because the guy's got some hops.
And he can shoot. And he can shoot. He has a dribble game. He has the midi game. Like that's why he's getting the young Kobe, young MJ comparisons. He's not just bounce. He has the
fundamentals. I'm not going to put him in the same point as Kobe and Michael Jordan just yet.
No. But that's why I'm saying that's why they're saying he's giving the comparisons. But I think he's like more like a D Wade. Even D Wade said he could be better than Ant-Man could be better than him. He might be like a D Wade, but even a better J 3-ball, just because the era he came up in and all that. But yeah, Ant-Man, I think he's going to be on that tier one day with the D Wades, the Kobe's. Like if he can win some championships and an MVP, I think he's on his way, man. He just turned 23. He has an Olympic gold medal already. He's been an all-star in the league. He's one of the best players in the league. Everybody loves his polarizing personality. He's marketable. Like this next generation, Ant-Man, Victor, Tatum. Don't forget Tatum. He won a championship. He's been a beast since day one he came into the league. I feel like he's getting underappreciated. And then Luka, he just led his team to the finals. Luka, he has the highest points per game scoring average in playoff history, only behind MJ. And he's been doing that since day one, cooking people in the playoffs. Luka, he has no fear in his body. He has ice in his veins. He's a cold-blooded killer. And he's going to come back with a vengeance after losing that finals. And then Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama, I can't wait to see how that rivalry unfolds over the next 5-10 years. I hope they both stay healthy. I think it's going to be amazing for NBA. Don't sleep on Paolo Banchero, though, from Orlando Magic. He is a menace. I remember watching him when he was in high school.
Yeah,
When he had the old school classic game.
Paulo Banchero did almost carry Orlando to the second round by defeating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round. So I don't blame you for thinking like that. Banchero, he's kind of like a sleeper to me because he has the body, he has the length, he has the skills, he has the jump shot that's going to make an NBA player's growth phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
He has everything you need an NBA player. Paulo Banchero doesn't really get enough credit for his talent on the court. But
I feel like he gets underrated when they talk about the top young players. And I feel like it was mostly Ant-Man, Wemby they talk about, and then like Chet's after. But Paulo Banchero, I remember that 2022 draft. I said Paulo or Chet. I remember watching Paulo in high school and Chet as well. Paulo, I was like, he had the old school classic 4 game, but then I was like, once he modernized his game around his junior year of high school, when I started seeing him doing off the dribble threes, because he wasn't doing that his first 2 years of high school. He was more old school. And once he modernized it, because Jamal Crawford, he's from Seattle area. Jamal Crawford said, you got to modernize your game, young fella. The game's changing. And I remember him speaking about that in an interview. I forgot what interview he did that on, but he mentioned Jamal Crawford saying that to him. And then he did that. Oh, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, his potential is unlimited. And he has the body to deal with the NBA guys because he always had the body, the strength. So I wasn't worried about his body. And then when he did at Duke, amazing. And then seeing when he did his rookie year, I was like, yeah, this guy, he's going to be a guaranteed star in the league. I'm not worried about injury issues. He has the right mentality. He wants to be great. Because one thing, too, like, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the passion, you can't teach passion, like work ethic. You got to have that in you. Like, either have it or you don't. One thing about all these young guys, they all have the passion and will to want to get better. Even Zion Williamson, he looks skinny, man. He's looking like he's in the best shape of his career. I think he's going to come. Yeah.
Mentioned his podcast said that Zion Williamson lost some weight, which means Zion Williamson that we knew from Duke is coming back. He's going to be great.
That's going to be scary. Because I remember when I watched Zion his freshman year of college, I was like, man, this guy is, this might be the best freshman I've seen.
That was the one time when I wanted the Knicks to be bad so we can win the lottery. But
man, and it was crazy. Y'all missed on Ja and him. I was like, damn. I was like New York Knicks.
That's all good because we made the because in 3 of the next 5 years after that we were in the NBA playoffs. And then we won the second round 2 years in a row when we added Jalen Brunson, the same guard that people keep telling me, oh, he's not going to be all that great. He's not worth that bag. He got to the second round 2 years in a row, and then you add Mikal Bridges with him. But this is one of the teams to watch. The New York Knicks, the Villanova boys are back together. They're going to carry the Knicks into the conference finals.
DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, you have Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. I think that's going to be
Dante DiVincenzo, the big good. What do you think is going to happen when you put those 4 boys together?
Exactly. I think that's going to be. And then you have Julius Randle coming back. He's healthy. Because remember, they struggled offensively in the playoffs. Like Brunson, when he got tired, they needed that other scorer down low, a guy who would give you 20 and 10. Julius Randle, he's their. I think with him coming back, he's going to be their secondary scorer. I think they still have Brunson as the primary option because he makes great decisions, great reads. He always knows what he's doing with the ball. And even though he's going to probably be deferring to Randle, I feel like early on in the season, because I feel like they're going to try to get a feel again for each other, get the chemistry, especially Mikal Bridges added to the mix. But Julius Randle, I think if they had him last year, you could make an argument they could have made the conference. They could have beaten the Celtics. They really could have. I think because Jalen Brunson, yes, you can get 40. He's breaking all these records in the playoffs, getting 40-point games, this and that. But eventually, it's going to take a toll on you. And you see, I know he eventually got hurt. If he didn't have to do all that himself, if he had Julius Randle, a guy who give you 20 to 30 a game and give you 10-plus rebounds, take that pressure off you so you have more energy to preserve during the end of the game, we could be having a whole different story right now with the Knicks coming into this season. Because I was really confident about their team last year. I love the way Josh Hart plays. He's the best rebounding guard probably in the league. Like, this guy is 6'5", and I see watch the game and then see
for
his
rebound
stat line.
something.
Rebound. I'm like, this guy's 6'5", getting rebounds like he's a 7-footer. I'm like, he plays hard. And his offense has only gotten better throughout his career. DiVincenzo,
that's the thing with the
championship experience.
They play that hustle, get after the ball style of offense and defense.
Yeah.
And you see
Gritty. They're gritty.
At the winning game 2 against the Philadelphia 76ers. That was one of the greatest Knicks games you've ever seen in the NBA playoff history. You can't dismiss that. Even if it's only because the referees missed calls. So what? The fact of the matter is, Villanova boys had their moments against the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round. And then there's a loss to the Indiana Pacers in Game 7. They had no offense after that. I mean,
it was
OG Anunoby comeback was a little ray hope, but then he gets hurt again, and the Knicks stunk in Game 7. But to be fair, it was the first Game 7 we've had in a while at the Garden, but we do expect the Knicks to build off of that. And they're only going to get better from here. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to is not going to do it for a championship right now. Let's just hope they don't go through another 7 years during the Melo era, because we do not want that. I don't want to go through that 6 or 7 years of.
I had to mix up. They lost to the Pacers, not the Celtics. I had to mix up for a second, but they lost to the Pacers. I was like, damn it. I was like, but I think we're really close, man. I just think Mitchell Robinson, I don't know, can he stay healthy? Because he has a skinny frame. That's the one, like our 5 position, we need to like beef that up. If we can get a solid 5 who could defend the rim at a high level, give us like, no, I'm not saying you got to be a 20-point scorer, because we got that already with Brunson and Randall. We just need someone who can protect the rim at a high level, who's available, like durable, we can rely on night in, night out, and could give us like, say, 12 to 15 points a game with elite defense and elite rebounding. If we can have that guy, like if Mitchell Robinson could be that guy for us, we have a chance in New York. And I want to go to New York Parade in my lifetime. The last time a New York sports team won a championship was what? The New York Giants in 2012?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And the NYCFC won the MLS Cup in 2021. You can't ignore that.
Yeah, it's COVID during that time. So, and the Rangers had a chance to make the Stanley. I was rooting for them. Stanley, because I watched the hockey playoffs more so than the regular season. I watched regular season too, NHL, but the playoffs are just different. Because I know the NBA is going on at the same time as NHL and NFL, so it's kind of hard.
For some reason, New York hockey teams struggle against Florida hockey teams. I don't know why.
Oh, froze. What you say?
I said, for some reason, New York hockey teams struggle against Florida hockey teams.
Eventually,
New York has to own Florida in hockey at some points, but more now another time. But
it's crazy how the hot states are beating the colder states.
But let's just get to this one. But let's just get to the next question. And it's kind of been buzzing around for a little bit, and this is inspired by Liberty Fan TV. Which New York team will bring the next championship in professional sports? Will it be New York Liberty? Will it be New York Knicks? Or will it be a different team?
That's a good question, because a lot of them are doing good right now. Liberty are the top team in WNBA record-wise right now. Knicks I think they're ascending up. Rangers, we can't. I mean, they've been doing their thing. We just need them to get over that next hump. Yankees, Aaron Judge is balling right now, man. 3 seasons, 50+ homers. Man, he's killing it, man. He's the runaway AL MVP. Man, it's him or Ohtani, best player in the league. I think it's Ohtani, but Aaron Judge is right there. You can make an argument it's him. And then man, I don't see any of the football teams. I mean, some people say the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, we'll see, because they have the talent, but can they put it all together? I want to see how they do this season. If I had to say the next New York team to win a championship, I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go the Knicks, man. I'm gonna go the Knicks.
Oh, no, don't do that. Stand up, man. Don't do that. The Liberty are number 1 seed in the WNBA, even though they did lose to Connecticut. Yeah. We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah.
All I care about, the Liberty are in the playoffs. They're number 1 in the WNBA.
Yeah, the Liberty too. Yeah, the Liberty. I was mad when they lost in the finals last year. I was like, no, I wanted them to win so bad.
You're telling me they were a Courtney Vanderpool mid-range shot and a Game 5 victory away from winning the finals. I said over and over and over. But right now, it's legit. I ain't mad that they lost to Connecticut, because with the way the schedule is right now, going for the rest of the season, we can take a few L's as long as you do not lose 3 games in the WNBA playoffs. That's all that matters the most now.
Yeah. I'm rooting for the Liberty because I want to go to a New York Parade. I want to see New York do good again. I want to see New York in the limelight again for a championship, though. We get the coverage because we're the biggest market in the world, but I want to see the championship.
To win the NBA championship, I'm going to hype that up forever as long as I have to old and gray. But the Liberty, it's their shot to win now. Their shots, literally.
Yeah,
you know what? On a day, you know what? On the day that the Liberty lost game 4, earlier shoot around, Kelsey Plum came and talked to me and told me about that in the background.
Ooh.
I was like, oh God.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Yeah, I see the near Liberty of the year. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, but yeah, John Quell Jones, double machine. You have 2 former MVPs on that team, Brianna Stewart and John Quell Jones. Brianna Stewart, she can ball, man. I'm like, she can do everything. And then Serena Ionescu is one of the best young players in the league. So yeah, they have all the pieces, man. I think they're gonna do great. I want to see them do great. I was actually kind of devastated when they lost last year. So I was like, man, we were this close. We were this close. But I think they're gonna do it this year. I think they learned from last year's experience. I think they're gonna really take it this year. I think they're gonna take the experience from last year. That's what sometimes you need growing pains, you know. Hey,
Yeah, Liberty's gonna have some growing
sometimes
pains. And they had some growing pains yesterday when they struggled against Connecticut in that last game. But you know what? That's how it is sometimes. I mean, they're gonna have an off night, but I know Liberty will bounce back and finish strong and get the number 1 seed. I mean, unfortunately, with the way the Aces are playing this year, we're gonna probably have to. We're probably going to get their advantage against Aces in the second round when they're done with Seattle if the playoffs start today, not the WBA
you have
finals.
to do it that bad. Woman, Angel Wilson is no joke. Angel Wilson is no
yeah, Angel
joke.
Wilson. You see why I want to talk about it? Yeah, there's a reason why I put that highlight of her game when it shot at the beginning of the show because yeah, that's iconic. That buzzer beater after the Chicago Sky came back and tied the game on a KD Carter 3-pointer. You can't get past that. Angel Wilson is one of the greatest WNBA players right now.
Oh, wait, hold up, it froze. What do you say? You said who are my top WNBA players right now?
I said Angel Wilson is literally the greatest WNBA player right now. Especially after that.
Oh yeah, there's no debate. I think there's no debate.
Like seriously.
Yeah, I think there's no debate. I've been saying it for I've been thinking that for a while now. This woman has won multiple Defense Player of the Years, multiple MVPs. They have a chance to three-peat Las Vegas Aces, and she does help them win another gold medal. Like she's on pace to be the greatest women's basketball player of all time. She's on that pace. She's only what 20. She's in her mid 26, 27 around that age. She's in her prime. She still has many years left. She can do this for another 7 to 8 years. And look at her resume. If you go on her Wikipedia, that resume is already stacked. And she still has another 7 to 8, 10 years of doing this. So it's scary. Mm-hmm. And she's strong in the post. She has the midi game. She can hit the three. She can take you off the dribble. She can post you up. She's an elite defender. And she could give you second chance opportunities. She's an elite. She has no weaknesses in her game. And she has that killer mentality. Angel Wilson, I think she has the chance. I know I grew up and I heard about Lisa Leslie. I've watched some of their highlights. I've heard Cynthia Cooper. All these greats. Diana Taurasi, some people think are the GOAT. I remember when they did the poll of the WNBA 25, people voted her as the GOAT. But I think once they get to WNBA 50, I think it's going to be a new GOAT in town, man. It's going to be Angel Wilson across that name. She is unstoppable.
Yep, she's unstoppable indeed. And you know what? It's time to transition into the start, bench, and cut questions, starting with the NBA. And this is something that's been debated for a while. Where's your start, bench, and cut with Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant?
Ooh! This is tough. Everybody who saw my legendary NBA 75 greatest players of all time article, which is my most viewed article ever, over 1,000 views. That's my greatest project ever. I'm like, okay, start. I'm gonna have to start. Ooh, it's between. Damn, this is tough. So I want to flip flop between LeBron and MJ. I'm like, God damn. It depends how I'm feeling. I think I'm gonna start MJ, bench LeBron, cut Kobe. Because when I did, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do that. Because I remember when I did in my top 4, it was MJ, Bron, Kareem, Kobe. That's my top 4 all time, and I had Magic at 5th. That's my top 5.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to do that. I gotta stay true to that. Yeah.
I'm not even surprised you did that.
I gotta stay true to that.
Everybody's saying Michael Jordan's better than LeBron James, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm gonna start LeBron James. I'm gonna bench Kobe Bryant and then cut Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that either, man. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Because Kobe Bryant, the career that he had, 5 titles and 7 appearances. You defeated Allen Iverson. You defeated Kidd. You defeated Dwight Howard. It took you after 2
Yeah.
tries to beat Boston, and then you beat Reggie Miller.
Yep.
Kobe's
He
literally
beat a prime Dwight Howard.
like seriously. No disrespect to Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
but Michael Jordan did have a shaky start to his NBA career. We can't dismiss.
Yep.
In the 80s, he didn't win nothing. It took until 1991 against an old Los Angeles Lakers team to win a
That's
championship.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I see where you're coming from too.
Kobe
Yep.
Bryant got it done into 6. LeBron James, it took him 4 years to get to his first NBA finals at 22 years old. You can't get past that. So it's all about how you start as opposed to how you're finishing or about to finish. Not to mention LeBron James is about to be 40 years old this year and still playing.
At a high level. Like he's still making all NBA teams.
So,
I ain't gonna lie. I never thought I would see
Anybody thinks I'm being delusional LeBron James supporter and think I'm always choosing LeBron over Michael Jordan, you can't debate that. All-time scorer. In the end.
Yep. What's crazy is I never thought I see in my life
over 40,000 points.
Break Kareem's record and
and
has 40,000 career points.
You want
crazy? I don't think anyone's ever breaking that record. And he's still a top 10 player in the league. Some people still have, it depends. He's still definitely a top 10 player in the league. There's no debate. Like LeBron, he might not be able to do it energy-wise as he used to because, of course, he's older now. He has so much mileage on his body. But, ladies and gentlemen, all you haters out there, you need to appreciate greatness because when he's gone, we are not going to see nothing like this ever again. I always loved LeBron, so I've always appreciated I appreciate greatness. I love Steph. I love Giannis. I don't hate any great player. I love greatness.
I'm not talking about the wear and tear of his body. I'm talking about LeBron is broken. Literally.
Yeah. Like, we never seen, like, the fact that he's 40 and he's still a top 10 player in the league, and he's still, like, he's not just hanging on at 40. Like, he's not just giving you 12 points a game. This dude is still averaging 20 plus a game, still averaging 8 assists per game. He's still efficient, everything. Like, it's crazy, man. They were in the Western Conference Finals 2 seasons ago in 2023, where I know they lost to Denver, the eventual champions, but the fact he led his team to the conference finals in his 20th season as the best player, woo! Like, no other player in NBA history you could say in the 20th season was the best player to lead the team to the conference finals. No other player.
Yeah, you can't say that. All right, now on to the next topic. On to the next one. Anthony Edwards, Chad Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama.
Start, bench, cut?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy. Start Victor, bench Ant-Man, cut Chad. They're all going to be great. But
what?
Victor, huh?
What? I get why you start Victor, but nah, I'm disagreeing with you on that. Anthony Edwards starts, bench Victor Wembanyama, cut Chad Holmgren. I'm sorry.
I just don't think Anthony Edwards, like their highest peak, I don't think his peak's going to be up there where Victor has a chance to be something we've never seen before. This guy has a chance to be the greatest defensive player of all time. You know,
okay, don't be
and he's a beast offensively. Bro, you see what he's doing? Bro, his shooting is only going to get better.
Don't be mad when Victor Wembanyama dunks on Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man's up and coming. You can't get past that.
Hey, I ain't gonna blame you, but at the same time, don't be mad if Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards going up in the air. Victor Wembanyama, they'll see him, then he still comes up and swats it to the next row. Hey, man. Hey, Victor has a chance to be, I think, the greatest player of all time one day. And if as long as he stays healthy, he has a chance. And he has a chance to break the records for how many defensive player of the years. Because, God, I think he said I'm gonna paraphrase it. He said, Rudy Gobert, you can have this one, but the rest are mine. Like this dude wants it. Same thing with the Olympics. He said when they asked him, like, who should we be, like, who should be afraid of you? FIBA, like, who should be scared of you? Or I'm just paraphrasing. FIBA or NBA? He said everyone. That's what I love about him. Like, he's not just, he has the killer. That's why I call him the French Mamba. He has the killer mentality like Kobe. He has that in him. And he always wants to get better. He's working on with Jamal Crawford, working on his handles, working on his shot, everything. He wants to be the best he can be. I've never seen someone as tall as him with his flexibility. He's doing these crazy stretches. Even before he was doing this way before the NBA because they know his body was different. And he knows about the history of the injured bigs. So he wants to try to prevent that. That's one thing I like about him. He's aware. Like, he's trying to prevent, like, he wants to have a long, great career. And that's what I love about him. I think Victor, that's his mindset, everything. He's marketable too. You see him on Nike campaigns, everything. Anthony Edwards, everything. They're both very marketable. Victor Wembanyama has a signature shoe. Alien. That is unique. The marketing they do for the Nike. By the way, shout out to Nike. They have the best like marketing I've like ever seen of any brand. Like it's crazy. Their videos, by the way, you seen the Olympic one they did with it gave me chills to the athletes. Yeah, nice shout out to Nike, man. But yeah, I think Victor and Ant-Man are the next two best players like of this next generation. But Cooper Flag is coming, and so is AJ Dabonsa. Just to shout them, they're coming, bro.
Yeah,
I think those are gonna be the.
Yeah, they are. All right, now, on to the WNBA start bench and cut. Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Nafisa Collier. It should be hard to figure out, right?
Angel Wilson start. Bench Breanna Stewart, cut Nafisa.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, it's kind of easy said and done. I mean, Breanna Stewart is a phenomenal athlete, but Asia Wilson, she's been carrying the Aces. Even
I love Breanna, but Asia Wilson's just a different breed.
Asia Wilson's a different breed. You can't get past that. You see the game. You should check the highlights of the game with the Chicago Sky, and you'll have your answer while we're saying this.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I'll do with this episode nothing but that sports up. Thank you so much, DJ Sports Show, for coming on, DJ Hamilton. Appreciate you coming on, share your knowledge and wisdom and storytelling, everything. And thank you once again.
Hey, thank you, Rafiq. Man, it's been an honor coming on the show. I just want to give a shout out to you for bringing me on for my first ever interview. This was great, man. It was great to be in the other seat for once. I'm always doing the interview, being the interviewer. It was great to actually answer the questions this time. So I really appreciate you for letting me tell my story. I just want to tell everybody out there, check out the DJ Sports Shows podcast everywhere, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, you name it. Check out djsportshow.com. Sign up, subscribe. It's free. Follow me on socials, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, DJ Hamilton 23. And make sure you guys, to spread out the brand. Anybody who loves sports. And all creators out there, don't be afraid to create something for yourself. Be yourself, be unique, find your niche, and believe in yourself. Be consistent, and that's all it takes. I hope my story inspired you guys to create something for yourself and just be yourself, man. Don't try to be something you're not. Just be your unique self, and it'll work out in the end. So
all you do is be yourself. For DJ Hamilton, Rafiq Broussard, we'll see you next time.
Peace out, guys.